All right, in this lesson we're going to talk about producer and consumer surplus. This should be a review from Econ 200 and Econ 300. So in a normal graph, we have our supply and demand curves. Note that our supply curve is representing, in a sense, the cost to producers. Our demand curve is representing the values to consumers. So here we end up with some price and quantity. So in this case, what we have, we'll first consider consumer surplus. That is, how much benefit are the consumers getting from this? Well, here, the demand curve is telling us the values that consumers have. So this consumer's value, say that he's paying a price of 10 and his value is 14. That means that he's going to gain 4. What about this consumer? They don't value it quite as much, but they still have to pay the $10. So here they're going to gain a little bit. Maybe their value is only 12, so they're gaining 2. What we're going to do is add all of these up. It's yellow, not white. And we'll call this consumer surplus. So this is, in a sense, the benefit that consumers are getting from purchasing this product. The way that we calculate it is we're going to find the area of that triangle. So say that we have a price of 10. Up here we have 15. So this difference is going to be 5. Say that our quantity is 10. So the area of this triangle is 5 times 10 divided by 2. Right? Base times height divided by 2 because it's a triangle, giving us 25. Now the 25 doesn't really mean much other than 30 is better and 20 is not as good. Alright, so now we're going to look at producer surplus. We can kind of think of this as profit. So here we have how much each unit costs them to produce. For example, this one costs $3. Well, if it costs them 3 and they can sell it for 10, they're going to gain 7 off of it. If this one costs them 8 and they sell it for 10, they're going to gain 2. So producer surplus is going to be that whole area, from the price down to the supply curve. The way that we calculate this, say this is 2, well then we have this difference, which is 8. This is 10. So here we're going to have 8 times 10 giving us 80 divided by 2, giving us a producer surplus of 40. Again, that doesn't really mean much other than 45 would be better, 35 would be worse. So this is in a perfectly competitive market. We see that supply and demand alone are setting the price and the quantity produced. Here note that we have consumer and producer surplus. This is the most that they could possibly be as a total. We call that total surplus or total welfare. So here we see that the sum is 65. Well, notice here that we have how much everyone values each unit. Here we have how much each unit costs. Note that we're producing every unit for which the value is greater than the cost. We're producing up until this point. That's called allocative efficiency. So there would be no price or quantity combination at which we could get more producer and consumer surplus. However, what if we were to change the price and quantity? Well, then we would change consumer and producer surplus. So let's consider these same curves. So we're not changing anything about the actual market other than how it's going to act. So now let's say that the government puts in a price floor. So say a price floor comes in up here. that's going to reduce how much is produced. That is, our quantity is going to decrease. Say this decreases to 5. Someone's willing to buy this at $12. So the floor is set to $12. So we see that there's a reduction in quantity. So here, what I want you to do is notice that consumer surplus is reduced. Right? It now goes from here, 15 down to 12, giving us 3 times 5 divided by 2, so 7.5. So there's a reduction in consumer surplus. So consumers are now worse off. Also note that there's this area. So this area used to be either producer or consumer surplus. Well, now note that these goods are no longer being sold. So that means that this area is what we call deadweight loss. So this is where people value the goods at more than their cost, however they're not able to consume them. That is, this market is not being allocatively efficient. So this happens when government gets involved. What we're going to do is apply it to other markets as well. In general, economists aren't that concerned about the distribution of surplus. That is, are producers better off? Are consumers better off? But what is a big deal is deadweight loss, because that's where people are losing out where they could be gaining. So here we have consumer and producer surplus, that's this whole area down here, and then deadweight loss.